Hey,
Hey,
Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. We are the Melanated Council, as you can see at the bottom underneath our co host, Toby. Um, you can join us and watch us every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time ish, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time ish. And as always, if you are watching it now and it's not either of those times, then that's when we're live. You know what time it is where you are. So- And as always, please like, subscribe, and enjoy the show.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so tonight's episode is not about the show. Whose line is it anyway? The improv show that Drew Carey hosted that stars like Wayne Brady and like Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery and a lot of famous like improvisationalists. I think that's improvers. Um, what we're going to be talking about tonight is the line that comedians supposedly cross that makes their joke not okay. And so it's like because we feel as though the line is of course as real as the points on whose line is it anyway. And it only matters like to who like to whom this may concern is like is like who the joke affects. Of course, there was like controversy with Dave Chappelle and his the Closure special on Netflix that premiered like a couple of months ago. Um, and his jokes regarding the transgender community. And like the backlash that caused. Um, like there's certain lines like in terms of like what Donald Trump has did during his presidential campaign and even when he was running, if like where those lines were crossed. And like we're gonna definitely be talking about examples like that. However, like right before we actually went live, we were talking about something kind of kind of amusing. I don't mean to call you guys out. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but we were just sort of talking about like um one actress or comedian named Aisha Tyler. Like she does the voice of Lana Kane on Archer, and she's
Mhm.
also actually the most recent host of Whose Line Is It Anyway? She was also in the show Medium and stuff. Like she actually used to have a podcast years ago called Girl Boy Boy. Like she's like a pretty well known like tomboy in the in like the comedian community, like the Hollywood essentially. Hey Mish,
What's
I
going
like your
on?
new picture.
ooh, you got a new emo. You got a new. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know. It's cute.
Yeah, the little picture.
and you see
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
Clara we got going on
Yeah. So in Aisha Tyler's podcast, Girl on Guy, because she would interview like a lot of guys and talk about things. Um, she had like a segment called Self Inflicted Wounds. And I think that's what her book is entitled to. And a self inflicted wound is essentially like something that you did that was like totally your fault and you just kind of have to deal with it. These weren't quite self inflicted wounds that we were talking about, but it sort of just like reminded me of that since we're like talking about whose line is it anyway and things like that. But we were talking about like scars and marks on our bodies and how like sometimes they're like we get them for like the dumbest reasons. Yeah. Oh,
those are nice.
love them. Those are so cute. Those are so charming.
Oh, that was salt. Ha ha! I got it. That's a salt shaker.
Oh, okay. And then it's like a beaker and then like some cheese. Yeah, those are so cute. MMA pro.
Remember that now. I
Agreed.
remember that.
Okay.
Yes. No. You absolutely need to rock yeah, you definitely need to rock the consistent branding.
To support the people. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's tree. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, like, I have like this scar on my hand. It's not that noticeable. Like, I don't know if it'll even like show. It's like that little dark spot. Like, and I got it from literally, I was probably like in high school, maybe like early college at home or something. I don't know. And I literally got it from just like frying chicken, like just on the stove. And like the scar has been on my hand for like, over 10 years now. So it's like never going to go away. And I got it for like the dumbest reason. And it's just with me for the rest of my life. I didn't get it doing anything cool. I can't even remember how the chicken tasted. I assume it tasted normal. Like, I'm sure it tasted fine, but
the chicken chose violence.
Wait, what'd you say?
After that day, the chicken chose violence. The violence chose hell.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my revenge one way or another.
Exactly. The chicken chose violence.
That's good. That's real good.
Yeah. So it's just like, oh, okay, I guess I just have that scar for the rest of my life. I don't know if I still have like the scar, like these little scars on like my thigh when I was like 5 years old. Like I was like getting like a piggyback ride through like it was like a sanctuary park that was like across the street from where we lived. I don't think it was done being built yet. So it was just like a whole bunch of just like trees and shit. And I was getting like a piggyback ride from like one of my older siblings. And like one of the tree branches just scratched my thigh. And I may still actually have those scars, but like because that was like a million years ago, let me see if it's still kind of there. I don't know. Maybe it finally went away after a million years.
There you go.
Yeah, but it's just like really, this is just gonna be with me my whole life. Like these dumb little scars makes me like want to do like cooler things just so I can get better stories for my scars.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
I rock with that. Speaking of scars, actually, I think I have a unique one. Let me see if I can find it. I think is it this eye or is it this eye? I think it's this eye. There's like a little mole-ish right here. Okay. I call it my third eye. Because there's like a half circle above it. There's a half circle underneath it, and it almost looks like an eye to me. So the first one that I got, me and my brother, we were young, being young and dumb and stupid, and we were fighting, and we were throwing cars at each other. And not just any kind of cars. We're talking about like the Hot Wheel cars, not the ones that were made out of plastic. No, these were the ones that were made out of like metal. So the real metallic Hot Wheel cars. We're launching at each other. And so he chucked it, and somehow it nicked me right over here. And it didn't necessarily cut my eye, but it left a permanent mark right there. So like, oh, okay, whatever, no big deal. And then we got to fighting for real. So years later down the road, living with my dad, we had bunk beds. And in our closet, there's a space where my head was small enough to fit at the edge of my bunk bed. And there was a shelf like right above it. I can stick my head in there like clear as day. No big deal. So one day me and my brother, we're sitting around talking, and I had my head down in the closet. And we're supposed to be in bed sleep. Hold on. Sleep. Supposed to be in bed sleep. And we're talking. And I hear the door open. And so I pull back I put my head back and I messed around and cut the other part of my eye. And so I didn't think nothing about it. And my brother was like, Ronnie, you okay? I'm like, yeah. Like, okay. So he came up on me. He said, Ronnie, you're bleeding. I'm like, what? He said, dude, you're bleeding. And so running to the bathroom, and sure enough, I have like a nice stream just running down the side of my face, real nice. And so I'm like, oh, I'm actually bleeding. And so he was like, quick, we got to clean this up before, Dad sees it. So we go ahead, we clean it up, and got a Band-Aid. I put it over there, and it stopped. It kind of just was bleeding, but not as much. And so after it kind of like settled down, I went ahead and put another Band-Aid on just to kind of keep everything in place. This is way before Nelly came out, mind you, way before Nelly. So Nelly, I had the Band-Aid on my eye before you did. And so when it finally got done and everything healed, I took it off, and of course it scabbed over and everything fell off. And so down the road, he looked at me, he said, dude, he's like, you know that scar that you had on your eye? Like, yeah. He's like, it looks like an eyeball. I'm like, it does. And so like, hey, that's my third eye. So I'm gonna keep my third eye like right here. So no, the third eye right here. No, mine's on the other side of my face.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
It's like almost like an anime villain when they got like the eye over here.
Yeah.
Isn't that from Jujutsu Kaisen? I think his eyes is like the demon that's inside him. I think the eye's actually over here. It's like it's definitely like on the side. So okay. Yeah. When are you gonna start your main character journey?
Who knows? I gotta find like a sword or something, or some kind of like enchanted weapon or item in like an old store or an old antique store. That's going to be the start. It has like a super dark past or history behind it. Once I find that item, that's when my hero journey is going to begin. I'm going to mess around and get like mutated somehow, whichever one comes first. So who knows?
I saw this thing about Peppa Pig, where like it was like, I guess you have the eyes. I guess you have like whenever Peppa Pig's like you see the side view, it's like you see the eyes on the snout kind of, and then the eye. But it doesn't matter which way you're facing, you always see that eye on the snout and then the other eye. So then it's so like here's what Peppa Pig looks like facing you, and it was like 4 eyes, 2 on the snout and 2 here. And that's the first thing I thought of when you mentioned like eyes in the back, like those anime villains. Which actually, I think the only one I remember was in Bleach, where the eyeball like looked really weird from one of the main villains in the last arc in the 1,000-Year Blood War. But I haven't seen enough of those like, oh yeah, no, and of course there was a Espada who once they transformed, they just had eyes everywhere that they could use to like mind control or like physically control opponents and objects. Anyways, I thought that was just kind of funny. What a transition. I never watched anything Peppa Pig, but I know it comes up in memes and stuff.
I know, it always comes up as memes. Like that whole like how she can't whistle, and then like she calls somebody. It's like, oh, can you teach me how to whistle? And she's like, oh, you mean like this? And then she just like hangs up. Peppa Pig just hangs up the phone.
Trying to get validation for her. Yeah, I saw that actually kind of recently, like maybe last month.
Yeah, Peppa Pig is something else. Wow. No.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if there was something that existed.
Oh yeah, true.
It has to be fan art. It would definitely have to be fan.
Right, of course.
Oh man. All right, so are we all going through our all right, the next am I going through my scar now? I don't know if you're still talking.
Like, you know, you can do. Oh, okay. I was just saying, like, whatever you're comfortable doing.
Yeah, no, it's just this thing that I got from falling onto a sidewalk my first semester in college. No big deal. That happened because we were being pranked. It was in our scholarship program. For those who are familiar with UMBC, you know, the Meyerhoff Scholar. So we had different cohorts after like the summer each summer, like some amount. It could range from 40 something. Ours, we had like 69, 70 people. It was 74, but whatever. We had basically like 70 people in our cohort. I think the year above us had like 70 something. So, you know, it's like you're on the same scholar program, you're different years, but like you all kind of connect because of the goal of the program. Now, the goal of the program aside, which was to like get more minority and overall underrepresented STEM people in STEM, we like I guess someone in our year reached out to the upper year to say, hey, the second years to say, hey, let's like have like some kind of, because where we live there was like a volleyball court like right there by that dorm, the freshman dorm. So it was like, hey, we have this like volleyball, like basically the beat, like the sand and the volleyball net. Why don't we have like some kind of game? You know, maybe I don't know if we like grilled or cooked, but it was just like, yeah, let's have like a thing on a Saturday evening. And it was cool. I just mostly watched. I actually got to meet new people, but apparently the sophomores saw this, and when they saw it, they're like, no, this is lame. But they were like, huh, why don't we use this as an opportunity to prank these freshmen? So they got water. I mean, there was like a legit game and everything. There was a whole game, multiple rounds. People were talking. Then out of nowhere, they come with water balloons and start throwing them at us. And I was like, what the heck is this? But I was actually not in the main area where everyone else was. I was closer to the entrance of the dorm. So like everyone was getting bombarded and I was just there and I was like, okay, this is fine. And then at some point, someone comes with like a water balloon. He says some kind of like slick comment, throws it. It like I think it bounces off of me and just goes on the floor. And I was like, okay, you tried it. But then someone else comes with like water balloon running, and I was like, oh crap. So then I start. Oh, I think what it was they were coming out of the freshman dorm, and I was like, oh no, they had people inside of the dorm. So I was like, so then I started running the other way, and I was like, we're gonna throw the balloon. I was like, let me look over my shoulder. At the last minute, I'm gonna like dodge out the way, and of course, I don't even think I trip. I just kind of like lose my balance and fall, roll over myself on my left side. My shoulder was really messed up. This wrist got not even as messed up, but it scabbed over, and then I accidentally picked the scab. And then it came back, and then at that point, it just said, "Nope, you don't want to let it heal. We're just not gonna let you heal properly." And so this bump came out of nowhere, and it's been here since literally like September 2012, 10 years now almost.
Oh,
my first semester in college. That's crazy. And I also mentioned I chipped my tooth, but that that's really. I mean, whatever. I'll share it. I just bumped into a wall. I walked into like a window, a full like floor to like ceiling window in an academic building after coming out of a calculus quiz. So do your worst with the jokes. I'm surprised I haven't made like a pun about that. I just walked into a wall and chipped my tooth. And so that is not visible anymore because it's been filled for a long time. But yeah, these your body doesn't care about, not your body doesn't care about you, but like my body was looking at me like, am I a joke to you? Because that all happened like in the same month.
Oh jeez.
It was like September, I'm pretty sure. So I barely just got into college, and here I am banging myself up.
Wow, Kobe. Sheesh.
So
oh man, that's a harsh way to start college, because college is already like hard, you know, and then you're gonna just like fuck up your body. Not alcohol wise.
not alcohol, not food, not even food. Yeah, drugs. Not the freshman 15 or freshman whatever. Nothing like that. It was just nope. We're just gonna klutz our way into the infirmary. Thankfully, nothing ever really bad happened where I had to like, like get patched up. Like I never broke a bone or fractured or sprained. I definitely had some weird experiences that later happened, like sliding down a hill, and like that was my last semester too. That was like 2016, around this time, February actually, and I definitely fell on my back and slid down like a hill because I was trying to like skate on it foolishly. I have the video. That video does rounds. Like that video does rounds because I was recording myself sliding, but then I fell, and so like you can like hear me on Snapchat like going like, oh no, like the most faint. Oh, it wasn't even like me yelling. I was just like, oh no, and I'm like side.
Oh no.
I didn't really physically have bruises, but I feel like I jacked myself because I had like soreness and like pain later. But I felt fine in the moment. Anyways, so that's how we're introducing ourselves today. Where do we go from here?
I don't know. I guess we just
You only go up from here.
exactly.
Yeah,
I was just
we
gonna
go
say,
up.
yeah, we only go up from here because we just, you know. Well, one of the great things about comedy is like you can always make jokes about like your own experiences. That's kind of like where jokes essentially like arise when it comes to like the audience can always know when like you're essentially like fibbing when you're just kind of like clutching your way through a joke that's like clearly like made up, and if you're trying to like pass it off as real, like of course like jokes are you know it's like okay this person most likely didn't really quite do that. I hope Ron's dinner is good.
It got canceled.
Got canceled.
He made it in high school.
It's gonna be me next. Like what you said, something that he did in high school.
Like he made a joke in high school. Now it came back to haunt him. And sorry, Ron. It is now the melanated pair. It is the melanated duo.
Melanated duo, TMD. But was it? Yeah, like the because like when you're like constructing and forming a joke, like when you're like writing a joke or whatever, like you know you have to like draw from like your own experiences and like what it is that you know. You know, like I'm not gonna, you know, make wildly inaccurate stereotypical jokes about, you know, Chicago because Chicago is always like used as just like this place where like that's the only place where black on black crime occurs, and that black on black crime is a thing, and it's like whatever. Anyway, that's a different that's a topic for a different stream. You know, and it's like I've only been to Chicago once in my life. I didn't see any shootings, so it's like I can't really just like say something about it, you know.
Oh snap! Ron came back with violence in the name.
Yeah, I went from Ron to I have no problem giving you these.
There's a song behind that.
Okay.
There's a song.
But no, I was just like saying like how to pretty much like write or construct a joke. So like a lot of these comedians, you know, like when they talk about groups, like I understand like you know like for example like Dave Chappelle talking about, you know, like the trans community. You can tell that it's not like he knows zero trans people, you know, like you could tell that he knows, you know, like he's definitely like been around people who are in the LGBTQ community. That he's, you know, like you could tell from like how he writes his jokes, how he creates his jokes, and how he, you know, says these jokes. Can you argue that some of the like how he words things may seem a little outdated? Sure. You know, this is like my opinion. You know, of course, everyone's opinions may vary. Everybody has different lines, you know, that they can cross, and different opinions on certain things, and how like, you know, they sort of see things. As someone who's you know written jokes, has done stand up, like I have a very different you know perspective and view of you know comedy and jokes and joke writing. Like I've heard things that were like quite offensive, but it's just sort of like okay, you know, it's I had to kind of like just in a way like I guess I kind of like like it's like okay, I get the joke, like you're almost crossing my line, but my line is a little hard to cross because I understand how fucking hard it is for what you're doing. You know, like there was this one comedian. What's it called? There's a show on Netflix. I want to say it's called The Comedians. And then like each season is like 6 different comedians. Each episode is like a different comedian, like a 30-minute bit. So it's like the most recent season. And the most recent season is actually really good because it has Janelle James, who plays Ava on Abbott Elementary, and she's like fucking hilarious. Also has Melissa Villaseñor, who's on SNL, and who's like incredibly talented. But there was like this. There was also like this black dude who was fucking hilarious. I can't remember his name, but like there was this white guy who was very good. He was very funny, and I can't remember exactly where like the joke was, like, you know, like how far into his set it was or what it was about, but like he had a joke that I thought was like a bit crossing the line, but also funny at the same time. And it was just like, ooh, like it's like, ooh, you're in like dangerous territory. He was like, he said, he was like, it's like I call my cat the N-word all the time, like because like he doesn't care. And I was just like, shit, he wouldn't care. The cat wouldn't care. It's like, that is true. That is true. The cat would not care. Like, it's like, ooh, but should you even be saying that word at all? You know? So it's like, that's the line. It's like, ooh, but it's like, he is alone in his house with his cat. I don't think that, like, you know, like, I don't know how the cat feels. It's one of those things that's like, if a tree falls and no one's around, you know, does it make a sound sort of thing? You know, like if you're just like alone in your house and you're just like saying a bunch of like expletives or like, you know, very like, you know, just like very offensive terms and no one can hear you. Is it bad? You know, it's like, can you sing the N-word if you're white, but no one's in the car? How would I know?
Yo, man.
Woo!
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah. We going up tonight, y'all.
We're going in on everything.
Yeah.
But it, you know, it's one of those things where I was just like, ooh, you know, like. So here's something that happened to me quite like, I don't know, let's say 6 years ago. I don't know. I was like in my mid-20s. I don't know. My friend invited me to a, what's it called? A time, like her family's timeshare, like up in Cocoa Beach, like Central Florida, East Central. And you know, like it was fun, you know, like it was cool, like we're all on the beach, like, you know, I've known this girl for like, you know, several years. She was like one of my best friends in college. And, you know, like we always kept in contact and blah, blah, blah. And like we're just like on the beach hanging out. And like she's white. And like all her friends are white, and her boyfriend at the time is like biracial. And she like just called him the N-word right in front of me. And I didn't know how to act. So I just awkwardly started laughing because I didn't know how to react. I've never heard her say this. She's very liberal, comes from like a quite liberal family. So like it was just like very odd, and it was just like a lot of people were kind of like awkward about it, and like, you know, like apparently it's like she calls him that at home, like I guess occasionally. I don't know if she still does it. I don't know, but it's just sort of like, you know, it's like really fucking awkward because it's like, why, you know, like, but I mean, I didn't know what to do because it was, you know, it's like, well, What happened? Who was that?
No, that's hold on.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I felt like that was fucked up personally, but it's at the same time, it's like, we can't sit here and act like people don't say that word. I don't think it's a word that necessarily needs to be said. I do respect the comedian who said that, like, because that was kind of funny. I would admit it. I was like, that's kind of funny, because it's like he just calls his cat that because the cat really doesn't care. It's like, that's true. The cat doesn't care. The cat doesn't know. The cat is just like in a world where there's like no like racism. Like there's this cat's just living in this house being a cat. So it's like it was a very awkward joke. If I were there live, I don't know if I would have laughed, but I definitely would have thought about it and just been like, that is kind of funny. But like it's fucked up. I don't like thinking about him saying that word. But he is saying it to his cat though. So like, that's like it's I don't know, it's fucked up. Yeah.
That's an interesting vein to go into too, because it's like it is kind of like shocking, like when you kind of hear something like that. Whether it's like a white person saying the N word, like there's never a point where I was really like, whoa, because I feel like people would say, like, there would be certain jokes that were like almost like fake racist. Like, for instance, in my high school, a really good friend of mine, we're still friends, but we don't always talk as much, but we like did computer science together and stuff. We became, and low-key introduced me to like the internet and memes, and like, I wouldn't say 4chan exactly, but basically just like that kind of humor, like when it came to memes and like internet humor. And I remember he would talk about like because a lot of the friends of it, like he had a lot of black friends, right? And it had just happened that all of us had like glasses for whatever reason. So he was like there might be a group of us. We're all there, all these black people, guys and girls, like wearing glasses. And he would be like, I really can't stand people like you, like all of you. I just like, y'all make me sick. And then it's like, I can't stand people who wear glasses, man. But obviously, it's like, it sounds like he's. And so, like, I always laughed because it's like, it's funny. But like, if someone wasn't like really clued in, they would be like, "Yo, what's happening here? Like, dog, what are you saying?" And that's like much more tame. But like, there's definitely jokes where it's like you can kind of like play off of, you think someone's gonna say something racially offensive, and then they go another direction,
right?
Or like, even when I was in college, there were people who would make certain racially offensive jokes, and it was just like, oh yeah, that's just who they are. And it was kind of like weird because it's like they would be good friends with you. You could talk about whatever. In this case, it was math. Like we were like taking a lot of higher level math classes, or we're in the same like department, so we would talk about stuff like that. But then like at one point, it was like, oh yeah, did you hear that they're trying to put Harriet Tubman on the $9 bill? And I'm like, we were like questioned, like what? And it was like, apparently it was a combination of 3/5 compromise and the wage gap being 75%. So if you take 3/5 of 20, that I believe is quick math, 12. And if you take 3/4 of 12, that's 9. So basically, because Harriet Tubman was a black woman, it's $9. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, I'm not like seriously like outraged or offended. It's just like you really like did the most to like.
Mm-hmm. I know, to do that joke.
Like,
more accurately, it probably would have been like $6 since black women get paid less.
Oh, so then you would like, yeah, you would do double damage. But it's just like, and I mean, that guy's Indian. I'm not gonna like, it's just interesting because it's like, yeah, you kind of just like say certain things that really should. I mean, he made more woman jokes than I feel like black jokes. But then he had female friends too, especially those in like STEM. So it's just like, are we just gonna like tolerate this guy's insane, like not always racist, but definitely sexist things at times. Like
did he ever make Indian jokes though?
I don't know specifically. So it's interesting because he was Christian Indian, and so he might make jokes about, like, he mentioned something about like Muslims. And that of course is a whole fire, like that's like a whole like fire topic type thing. And that was like 2015, 2016. So that really was a time when people were, of course you had Trump with the Muslim ban, you had other things, like there was quite a lot of consternation about people and their views on Islam or whatever. And like he's Indian, so he's like, yeah, we actually have experience here with like certain things on the border, not just India, Pakistan, but within India, a lot of the different sects. And so, I just was kind of like, sighing, like, okay, here we go, I guess. And I never like really like called things out like that. And like nowadays, I don't really interact with people, or like the people I interact with, even those who may have made certain racially offensive jokes, now they don't really like. So I don't know. I guess it's just like people have cooled it with certain things. Some of those people I'm not always in touch with. But some of the people who I did know, I feel like they don't quite make certain things. I
feel like they've just gotten less ignorant. Like, yeah, we oftentimes forget that, like, like we're all relatively young and we're all still like learning and realizing and, becoming aware. Like, like my niece is 19, for example. And like when I think about when I was 19, like I was legally an adult and I was like going to college and like, I could vote and, all that jazz. But it's like, you don't really start, like things don't really start to like sink in until you're like 27, 28. Like when you're like, damn, like that's when like, because like I think like when you're 25, 26, like that's when your frontal lobe finally closes, if you want to get all scientific-y. It's like when you're like, I guess like ending adolescence essentially. Your brain finally finishes developing. So like, I don't know what it is, but it just seems like you kind of just start to really like understand the depth of things, Like you might hear teenagers say some jokes that are just like hella fucked up, but like ridiculously fucked up. But it's because like, I guess they don't understand the gravity of like, could be a situation, could be, they don't know like the full history of a certain thing and like why certain things are like this. And so it's just like, they're just saying things and like, it's funny, but they don't really realize just how like fucked up and grave it is. So I guess like the line definitely shifts depending on like your age and like what you're exposed to and what you know. I mean, when they say ignorance is bliss, like it truly is. Like it really is. It's like more things are funny. You don't take things as seriously because it's just like you're ignorant. You just don't know. You're just like, oh, I gotta just go to work and put slot A, like tab A into slot B, and that's my whole job every day. And I come home and I feed, pay the bills, feed the kids, hug my wife, and next day I just do this, and this is just all I know. And I went to public school and learned nothing, because that's what fucking public school is, it seems like, and it's becoming less than nothing now. And then that's just like your life, and so you're just sort of like, just living in like this little bubble, and then so like you might say offensive terms and you don't really know where they even came from, and honestly, like it could get really annoying knowing things, honestly. Like the other day, like I was hanging out like with this guy, that I see occasionally, and he's white. And like I guess like we finished eating, we just came from the beach and stuff, and like he was very tired. He was like, oh yeah, I got the itis. And I was just like, should I? It's like, oh fuck, do I have to ruin this guy's day now? Like, it's like,
You have to ruin this guy's day.
yeah, it's like, do I have to? It's like, oh, babes, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. Like, do I have to? Nobody fucking knows this. And like, it's like, oh, it's like, ooh, do you know what itis actually means? It was just like, oh, like when you eat and you get really sleepy. It's like, do you know the full term of itis? And it's like, it's just like, I don't want to fucking say, like, because everybody
man.
like knows, you know. I'm about to ruin this man's whole career. It's like, oh man. It's like, are you still gonna have sex later? Like, if I tell him that, like,
I'm dead.
it's like, is it worth it?
Well, now when you say talk dirty to me, he can whisper something about the itis.
That's just like it's not even talk dirty and talk historically offensive terms. You know, like I don't want to be like walking past him like, hey, it's like, hey, lady, does your legs go all the way up? And like say some old school shit. What are some other old school like pickup lines? Like the fuck was do your legs go all the way up? And why do we know this? And how do we just know what it means? Like it's almost poetic. Like it's almost Shakespearean, honestly. we just know. We just know what that means.
Oh man. Yep. I think we chose the right title for this stream and the right tag names. Yeah, they fit. They fit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because now they have it earlier, because before it was like, you know, if you had Twitter when you were like, I don't know, 2010 to that, whenever, yeah, you could run, but you have to be 35 to run for president. And it's like, did you have a Twitter when you were like 20 years ago, 2002? That wasn't the thing. So it was like there was a lot of things that you kind of got away with, like the fact that Trump had like a freaking Access Hollywood clip from like, was it 2003, 2005? It's like, man, imagine if there was actually Twitter and like you were just saying things off the cuff. I mean, he already said a lot of crazy things, like it went back when Obama was president, but just like imagine how it would be now for someone else 20, 30 years down the line, 40, 50 years, and they're just like tweeting nonsense, posting nonsense, TikToks of God knows what. And it's just like, there's no helping this kid when he tries to run for president later. You don't cross too many lines, kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Ooh. Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. I think the one social. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I think. Well, actually, no. I was saying what I think. It wasn't a fact. I wouldn't say dumb. That's just wrong. But it was more so the fact, like, if you were doing your dirt, almost in a way, it was easier to do it because the only people who would know that you were doing your dirt was you and the other person who you were with. And maybe if somehow, some way, somebody who knew you two saw that what you guys were doing, that would probably be it. And then you know how that spreads like wildfire, especially if you live like in a relatively like well-known area where everybody knows everybody. Yeah, word travels quickly.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we know, that guy down the block, or like people know people, and things can definitely travel. Like I never was in a tiny community, or maybe when I was too young to really know what was going on. But like where I grew up, like where my family lives now, is where I grew up really, like, or I should say that's where I like came of age. I was in middle school. I moved there in 7th grade, so 7th to high school, and that wasn't the smallest town. Like it wasn't huge. It was probably, actually, I'm gonna look up the population because I always forget, but it's probably like under 100,000. Yeah, it's only 75,000, so it's not big, but it's not like a small little town where everyone knows everyone. So I feel like I never exactly was like outside of social media and things spreading there. And of course, when you're in school, things can spread in school. But I never kind of had that, like, yeah, that just like this local town where you just know everyone's dirt and business. It's like, nah. I've been able to live kind of anonymously outside of, again, school and social media. Especially when I've moved around for like school and like college. Well, the people at church think,
been
yeah,
there.
That's a whole
Been
thing.
there. Been there.
I've heard that secondhand. Like people who maybe wanted to date, or I mean, that's not even like a crazy thing with like making jokes or saying something offensive, but even certain things where it's like people had to kind of talk to other people and there was like hush hush things going on where it's like people said certain things because they realized there were whispers, and I'm like, dang, I didn't know it was like this. But that's definitely, I mean, it's related a bit in terms of like how things spread, but that is definitely a conversation for a Black church type of
yeah,
the impact of church and religion more broadly in the Black community. But let me go through some of these comments again. Yeah, that's the whole thing. You already know. Yeah, there's a lot of cringe. Oh, snap. L really
hold on
with the sponsor.
Yeah. It's actually my first time tasting it ever, so I'm happy to be tasting it with you. I only got the blackberry one because it was slightly cheaper than the watermelon. For whatever reason, it was on. Oh, snap. Was that lemon?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Cody, you got to get on there. No, this stream is not sponsored by Hint whatsoever. We just like the product.
Actually, y'all never would guess what. No, it's actually just.
Okay, man. I was about to get excited. We should all come on with it.
Like, right. What?
We'll have to find some hint then for next time.
Oh, snap.
It's okay, guys. I get it. I can take a hint.
Hey, shout out to Hint. Actually, it's not too bad.
I'd be hearing about that people making stuff up part. The embellishing like nothing.
Shout out to the Hint. I'm trying to tell folks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell folks. What, Hint?
It's like an alternative to water and La Croix, because like La Croix is
that's how you pronounce
like it. It's like fizzy water, whereas Hint is not fizzy. So it's like, it's like water with like a hint of like a fruit.
It's like the flavored waters.
Yeah, essentially, it's a flavored water. It's like water infused with blackberry essence. In my case, we have the blackberry one.
Mm-hmm. Liz, go to Meijer or Walmart. They'll have it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know because you live in my area. Check Walmart and or Meijer. They're gonna have it. Meijer specifically because they sell theirs like an individual.
Yeah, it's very slight. It's definitely a hint. It's like,
Toby, you got to get on it now.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up. I'm about to look it up and see where I can, because I don't see it. Like, I guess I don't see like flavored water a lot. I always see sparkling. So fact somewhere, probably not that far from here, there should be some sparkling water, polar waters I can get for my job for free. And outside of polar water, I don't really drink LaCroix. I don't know. I've drank it, but it's not my favorite thing. But I love the sparkling polar water, even Poland Spring, which is like kind of a brand that you see up here in the Northeast. I think Deer Park would be like the Maryland Mid-Atlantic version. I'm not quite sure what brand.
I've seen Poland Spring.
Oh, you've seen Poland? Yeah, because it's weird because it's like almost the same thing but rebranded in different places. Like unlike Nestle or like Aquafina, like there's some brands that you just know everywhere. But then there's other brands that are very regional, and Poland Spring seems to be one up here. Saratoga Springs, that's one in upstate New York. That's very popular. And probably throughout the state. But anyway, it's like I've seen these sparkling waters. I'm like, oh, this is dope. I love it. So for me, sparkling water is like my go-to. But flavored waters, I've tried it. Like there was an Aquafina flavored water that I had, and it was okay. It was like some kind of berry, but something about it just tasted like it's weird because I like flavored sparkling water, but when I had like regular flavored water, I was like, this just doesn't taste exactly right. Like now, at the same time, I would love those coolers like that you see in like some nice hotels where it's like they have pineapple. I've seen grapefruit, which you don't think would be refreshing, but it was actually not bad. You'll see
like grapefruit juice, yeah.
Strawberry, of course, is a classic, and then you'll just have like those big like coolers, those like clear plastic or glass with like So like I actually love those type of like flavored waters where it's like you actually have the fresh fruit in it. But there's some like the Aquafina flavored waters or others where I'm just like, interesting. Especially when they try to add some kind of fake sweetener. I'm like, no, please, no. But yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy stories that happen. Oh snap! I just saw Rocky's comment. That is interesting because even when people disappeared, I don't know. Like unless I was really close with them, I just kind of minded my business.
Right, yeah.
Like
I would just assume like they moved or
exactly.
It's funny like when you think about like what you heard in high school and it's like, was that even true though? Like I remember like this one girl apparently like changed schools because like I guess like some of her like nude pictures were getting spread around or something.
Wow.
How?
I said wow. Wow.
I was like, I mean, it was like a cell phone, but like, because like when I thought you said how like when you cell phone, like, yeah, it's like 2 pixels, but like,
That's crazy. No, yeah, no, I get it. I get that part. This is weird. Because even then, to Rocky's point, like even back in my old high school, whenever we heard that somebody messed around and got pregnant, it was weird because again, like they would be gone for like a good minute, for a good while. It was like, dang, what happened to you? Where have you been? Especially if that person is very well known, like, and they just disappeared. And it comes out like, yeah, like, they probably moved or da-da-da. Or like, no, she got knocked up. And it was just, it was fascinating how fast, like, word would travel because I would hear that at my high school. And then I have friends at other high school. They would say the same thing, like, hey, so and so, like, kind of why? Is it true that she had a kid? I'm like, how did you know that? Like, you're not even in the same high school with me, but how did you know? It was so weird. So like, it was like, yeah, I got a homie send me a text message and blah blah blah, and I got it. And I was like, I know somebody that knows somebody that may know some things. Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible.
I was say people can't have their lives. Everything comes out.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like that's like the worst case in like that's kind of like how it is to be a celebrity, like people always just like assume like you're pregnant, they assume like all sorts of things, like they just make shit up. Like it is sort of crazy how that happens. So like, when you're just like in high school, it's like you're getting like the worst side of being a celebrity almost. Like, I used to just think that like no one really noticed me or anything in high school. Like I don't like when I think back on it, it's like I don't really know why, because it's like, yeah, I mean I don't think I was popular. I mean I guess like I knew like what I assumed were the popular kids. Like I honestly don't even know if those kids that I thought were popular were even popular, or if they were just popular in my mind, or just those were the kids I wanted to be like, or wanted to like me or what have you. But like, like I was just like in honors and AP classes. I was just like a nerd and just going through high school or whatever. And like it's interesting like what people know about you. Like my sister, who's 8 years older than me, like she went to Harvard for both bachelor's and PhD.
Okay.
And I don't know how this person in my weightlifting class even knew that. Like at the time, I think I was a senior, and I took weightlifting because I figured it'd be easy, and it was. And it was just like me and two other girls in the class. And one of the girls was just like, "Hey," and I don't interact with that particular girl at all. You know, like we never talk or anything. Like I'd see her around throughout the years, but you know, like even today, I don't even know her name. But like, yeah, she was like, "Oh," it's like, "I hear that your sister goes to Harvard." And mind you, my sister didn't even go to my high school. Like, and even if I were like, she wouldn't have gone when I would have been there at the same time because she's like that much older. So she was just like, "Oh, your sister went to Harvard?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, how do you know? She didn't even go to this high school. She went to a different one. So like, it was just crazy because it wasn't even like the school was. It wasn't even like a neighboring school. Like the school was pretty far. Like that she went to 8 years prior. Like so, but like it's crazy like the things that people know about you, the things that people see, and like it's like yeah. She went to Harvard. She actually teaches there now. But anyway,
That's super dope.
yeah. So, but yeah, it is odd, like the things that just people just like know about you. Because I'm like, who could have told her? Like, who do I know that knows that? Who would have told her? Told someone who told someone who told her. Like, it's like, was I just like walking around the school and they pointed me out? I was like, oh yeah, her sister went to Harvard. It's like, why would you say like what? Like, what? Like, how did that even come up? And any like I don't know. Like to this day, I just don't know. Yeah, I guess like it was a stalker girl. Yeah. No.
Nothing. That's odd.
Mm-hmm.
Odd.
Yeah. But did they cross the line? If you want to try to get back on.
That's a really good question because it's like she wanted to ask a question because it may have been a rumor, and it was like, and again, it's just weird. It's just really weird. It's specifically like, okay, how did this person connect me and my sister? It could be like, that's my cousin. How did they figure it out? Like that was my actual sister. If there was no way that me and her went to the same high school at all, you know, and even then, it's just, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, she and I look exactly the same, according to what everybody says. Like she and I look, because she also has locks and like we have like a similar face. And like yeah, everybody always says that. If there's like a picture of like me and her together, like it takes people a second to like figure out who's who. Sometimes so they're like, oh my god, she looks just like that's what everybody says. But like so, but still, like it is just very weird. Like, yeah, it's a reveal of oh, someone must have brought me up, and exactly. And like I'm sitting here thinking nobody like knows me or like is paying attention to me, but they just know my family.
That part right
there. How do you get into the Ivy League? You almost got into the Ivy League.
You could have gone to the Little League.
We're going to
You could have gotten into the Ivy League.
Oh man.
I still don't even think that would have even.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is definitely weird.
That's even scarier. Like, why would she even Google me? What was she trying to know?
She's trying to Google that ain't or whatever Nicki Minaj said.
You gotta go to the league, the Ivy League. For tips.
Again, the world may never know.
Yeah, like now that I'm older and thinking back on it, it's just like AAA. Sister made it to the league, the Ivy League. She did. But no, that is very weird. Like even like I'm thinking back on it now, it's like, yeah, why would she have known that? Okay.
That's the question. How would she have known? How?
Right. Yeah.
That's itself. Like how?
I don't know.
Yeah. But did they cross the line?
I don't
know. You don't know.
Right, because I'm like, there's just so many unanswered questions. I'm like, it's definitely like what Chad said. It's like I was brought up in conversation, but it's like then they just like kept bringing up more about what they know of me, and they knew like my sister who never went to my high school. Like, and, you know.
Yeah.
Much old, like I don't say much older, but like, you know, old enough to like no one from freshman year to senior year would have known her, you know, except me because she's my sister. And also, you know, it's not even the same. That's the other thing too. It's like it's not the same school. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not even like, oh, I had your sister, you know, like a teacher say. No, it was like because she didn't go to school. So, I was like, we're talking about X and okay.
We were talking about X.
Talking about me and my sister came up. That happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like it was something that, you know, like would happen. It would happen because, you know, it's not every day like, you know, people just like get into Harvard. So it would definitely like come up and stuff. So I was like in a way like kind of used to it, but you know, like it was just like kind of particularly odd with this girl because it was just like, you know, like we're not like friends or like it's like, and I knew that like she and it was like, you know, like this stupid like high school drama sort of thing. Like I can't even like really put it into words, but like it was just like, yeah, it was like it's not like I don't know, it was just weird. It's like we're not in the same circle of friends. Like, it's like I've never brought you up once, so like why are you bringing me up? It was just weird.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, wow, my name stays in your mouth, but your name's not in mine. This is not a this is not a symbiotic, or this is not like a mutual relationship going on now. It is interesting. It's like if people always are following you or seeing you, but then you've never seen what's going on with them. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing. like, whoa. I didn't realize she was just like, I don't know. I mean, like, that's crazy because I don't know how expensive. Well, you own your own house, but like with me, the rent I'm paying here, I could be literally living in someone's head, rent free, just mentioning my name instead of being in the third highest rent in the country. Like that's crazy. That is actually crazy.
My name
Oh, Zane.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I don't even like remember her name. I don't know if I ever knew it. I don't know. It's just so long ago. Gosh, your family's gone.
That one right there.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. I don't know if it was just like they saw me like I guess sometimes studying in like the weightlifting class. I'm like, yeah, because I'm like studying for like SATs. I'm trying to go to college. I was like, we're all seniors here, aren't we? Like I'm trying to do this.
Right.
I don't know. It's like, oh, they're just smart people. I don't know. Like I don't know. But it is sort of interesting to think about though.
It is. It is. It is. So I got a question. I was thinking, just as you were talking, especially like the subject at hand, like who are some people who have crossed the line, but yet the media still shows them a lot of love? And it was like, it almost kind of made you question and think like, where in the world are we heading where that kind of behavior is accepted?
The first person that came to mind was, go say finish your thought, sorry.
Okay. So I'm gonna say too in chat, you can answer this question too. So like, okay, Rock, I'll give you a really good example. So when Donald Trump was campaigning and in one of his campaign speeches, wherever, he was making fun of a disabled kid at one of his campaign rallies. And a lot of his supporters that were even there were kind of like laughing and cheering him on. And even then, you had some commentators, some newscasters who were just kind of like, they didn't condemn him in a way, but it was more so like, giving him a pass by saying like, oh yeah, this is Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is going to do whatever Donald Trump is going to do, and we shouldn't really think too much about it. But and again, with him doing that, especially as someone running for the highest elected office in the country, do you think he crossed the line, or did he not? And if he did cross the line, did media give him a pass? And again, that's just one example. One example.
I mean, you like that was literally the first, like my first thought was Donald Trump when it came to like, you just sort of gave him a pass. I think like canceling someone is like when media literally stops talking about them, because they always say bad publicity is better than no publicity, and it's true. Like that's how partly how Trump was elected, because he was always on the news. Like the spread of his name was like a virus. And so no matter what he did, like granted, like it's like the media's job to report, it's like journalists' job to report what's going on. If he does some fuck shit, they got to report the fuck shit. It's like, it's not like when journalists reported, wrote about, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. It's not like they were like, Will Smith went up to Chris Rock really closely and then did nothing and then screamed at him. No, like they had to report what the fuckery that happened. So like that's what journalists do. Granted, like how they word things, it's not necessarily the journalists who even write the article titles. It's more so like the SEO and shit like that to get the clicks and have it show up higher in like Google searches and things like that. So, which I guess could like be kind of just chalked up to, I could chalk it up to marketing. I shouldn't even say media is technically like marketing in like the media sector. So that's what was going on. What should have happened is like they really should have tried to cut him off, just like how Twitter fucking banned him. Like if Twitter did that years ago, I truly believe there would be like a lot less like spread of just like vitriol and like hate groups. This is my opinion. I have no idea if that's true. I didn't go back into the past and change things and then see the future. It's like, oh, things are different. No, I have no idea. That's true, Jed. If you're in public, chances are someone is still going to like you. That's really true.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, it's because he was running for the highest office in the country. Like, you have to report him. But, motherfuckers still got to get paid. So they had to create like these titles. They had to, make it as catchy as possible, as clickbaity as, like just to like essentially feed the algorithm monster. Because it's just like you just had to do that. Got him elected because they talked about him nonstop, even when they're still. I agree, Rocky. That's very true. Like, what really pisses me off about like 24-hour news stations is that you're running for 24 hours, that you only have one thing to talk about. Like you have all this time. You literally have an entire day, and you're like, we're gonna talk about this one thing the whole day, and then we're gonna debilitate over it or deliberate, whatever the term is. And converse and just like say your like little snappy talking points and like do all this bullshit, like the same kind of shit that you, Toby, and Ron and like the three of us can do. It's nothing like it's not like a particular skill set. Like I'm sure they just took like some like public speaking courses, maybe like some improv classes, because that's a thing that executives do. They take improv in order to like speak and deliver better. And they probably took like some joke writing classes as well in order to create something like snappy. And they just threw themselves out there and created a person who to just like report on the news. And you just make them look good, and then they just say some shit. Like literally anyone can do this. It just saddens me that these should be journalists. Like newscasters should have like definitely like a background in journalism. They should know how to like report the news, and they should know how to do so unbiasedly. And that's just not the case. Everyone's contextual. The context of becoming one of the most powerful people in the world is more. Absolutely. Everything is. And because of that, I do feel like Trump definitely crossed the line. Like, because there's a time and place for everything, Like, you're not going to bring a stripper to the funeral. Like, you're not, that's like, we should all agree that that's like to an extent inappropriate unless the person who passed specifically requested that. It's like, okay, then we can
You
have
have to might be proud.
right. It's like, okay, like it's like, okay, but like for the 99.99999% of the time, a stripper at a funeral is not really appropriate. Like you shouldn't just get up and start jerking off at someone's wedding. Like so,
There we
like
go.
there's a time and place. There's a time and place for things, or like or yeah, you don't like just scream and say like, oh, I fucked the groom last night, but continue.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
But still, I get it.
Right. It's like there's a time and place, like like so when you're running for like you're running for like the biggest leadership position, people are inspired by you. Like you can't deny that that's like part of like your responsibility. Right, priest who's
True.
Shame today. No, that's a good point. People
no,
like
actually, no shame.
what are you gonna say, Toby?
No, I just said no shame.
Right. Like people like to act like they have standards, but they don't. Like we gotta, for the most part, like we gotta, was like wake up and smell the coffee. Because like like with like these anti-abortion laws that are happening, I feel like that's crossing a line. But for strong evangelical right-wing people who seem to just be in office and doing like these laws and shit, they feel as though like it's not crossing the line. What I like, somebody tweeted this and I found to be very poignant. Was a 16-year-old can't adopt a child. A 16-year-old is too young to adopt a child. Yet, if a 16-year-old were to get pregnant, they would probably be forced to carry that child and become a mom. So like when they get pregnant, they're somehow mature enough to have a child, but they're not mature enough to adopt a child. Like, what's the difference? Because if these anti-abortion laws are just to, like, I guess, protect life, because everybody knows that, after a baby is born, then like life is just smooth sailing after that and they have no issues, they're going to be fed, clothed, taught correctly, taken care of all the time, no matter what. So, but like when the baby is put up to adoption and I guess somebody adopts the baby, then it's just not smooth sailing or what? Like it just doesn't make any fucking sense. And I think that's a line that's being crossed. I'm really shocked at the people that still there. Yeah. How do you being the first one to propose child marriage?
Yeah, because I know Tennessee, they passed one, and it's very concerning. It's very concerning. Very concerning because it's like, okay, you're saying that the age to get married is basically no longer in existence, and yet we want to protect life. Like, okay, so where does the line cross as far as saying, no, this person, or we can even say even this child is not old enough to even remotely handle the responsibilities of what it means to be married, let alone they really haven't lived enough life yet to understand like what's the foundations of it. And I was scrolling around on Twitter last week, I think. Yeah, it was what last week when I saw that. I'm like, okay. And then it almost feel like right behind it was like a picture of a very troubling scene. I'm like, ooh, that's not normal by any standpoint. From any standpoint, that is not normal. That shouldn't be okay. That should not be okay. Like whose parent, like who's this child's parent or parent that says, yeah, it's okay, and it's just it's aggravating. It really is. It's very aggravating.
Mm-hmm.
And again, to this point, like it is very confusing because with all of these anti-abortion laws that are being passed around, and with Tennessee, like I said, removing the age for marriage, it's going to open like a whole can of worms that many people won't be able to get themselves out of unless they got like a really, really good attorney. Unless they got a really, really good attorney. But even then, it's almost in the sense like, yeah, kid, you're screwed. Literally.
No, it is concerning.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I saw one comment, like I wish I had like bookmarked it because it was on Instagram. Because there was like an Instagram post that showed like a lot of problematic things. It might have been Now This or something where it was like not just the Tennessee thing, but you had Oklahoma where they like completely went further than anyone went with abortion. There was like other states, and so I remember someone commented saying that apparently it was like some kind of oversight, like some kind of clerical miss, like it was a quote unquote accident that it wasn't supposed to have happened. Um, and they were reintroducing another bill to fix why that age limit had disappeared. But like, how does an oversight like that just end up kind of happening? I don't know, to be honest.
Right.
And it's like when I actually just like really sit back and think about it, like it's like scary because like what the fuck is their end goal? You know? Like what, because like realistically, okay, so I see it like in two different like directions. Um like it is gonna sound dark, but
Go for it.
it seems like most likely it's just like, trying to, you know, in one way like keep the white race like the majority, because it tends to be happening in like these very red conservative states. And like everybody knows that white people are going to become like a minority in, is it like 2050 or something, or like maybe even sooner than that? Like I can't remember, but like that's like coming down the line. Like this past census was the first time when white non-Hispanic fell below 60%. Granted, it was 59%, so they could like chill the fuck out. But like it is something that, you know, like some people are very concerned about. I don't know what the heck they're going to think is going to happen if once they become the minority, but it's not that serious. But anyway, Yeah. Secondly, and this is something dark as well. I also feel as though, because mind you, like they're privy to all the information that we are as well. You know, like they're not like not knowing this. But like one thing that scares me a lot is I think that like Black women have a very high mortality rate when it comes to giving birth. It's like 300% more than white women. It's actually higher now than when Black women were enslaved back in 1600s to 1800s. So Black women are dying more now than they were back when Black women were enslaved, which is very depressing. It's very sad. It's very heartbreaking because it almost seems as though society values us less because we're not enslaved. And society is always like valued as less anyway, and so it makes me feel as though they're trying to have more white children and have less Black people. That's the dark side of it. The other dark side, because I realized that this other side is not even light either. The other like, this isn't good either. What I'm about to say, like this fucks up everybody. Anyway, as everybody's well aware, we don't have the essentially like the I don't know if infrastructure is the correct term, but kind of we don't have like the right things in place for people who are impoverished to raise children. We barely have the right things in place for people who make $50,000 a year to raise children. That's still pinching pennies. So if a lot of these states like Oklahoma, Tennessee, Kentucky, I don't know if Kentucky's come out with a law yet, but I'm sure it's on its way with their fuckery. Florida's already like I think passed something. They did 15 weeks. So I was like, yeah, there's no way they could have done 6 weeks. Like we are way too corrupt and fucked up of a state for them to just try to stop it at 6 weeks, because that's gonna out a lot of politicians. Because with their mistresses, I know that for a fucking fact. Georgia, and like et cetera and so forth, with these states and trying to. A lot of these states tend to have high rates of poverty, like low rates of, I want to say like in terms of like schooling, and like where they rank in schooling is very, very low. And I believe I already said poverty, but those who want to groom under the biblical grace. Yeah, no. I'd say your theory is right on the money, Chad. Which is like going towards the Handmaid's Tale. I guess I should have done that. No, it's very, very accurate. I wouldn't be surprised if things go down like this path. I wouldn't be surprised if women are no longer allowed to have credit cards.
Wow.
Like I wouldn't be surprised. Like we have to be, because that was something that became women were allowed to have their own credit card. I think just in the 70s. This was actually quite recent. Before you had to be married to a man in order to have your own line of credit. So I believe that was thanks to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was like, oh yeah, women should totally have this. And they were like, all right, bet. But now that she's dead, I mean, fortunately, we have Ketanji Brown Jackson, who's probably a little bit more liberal. I haven't done much research on her. I'll be straight up honest, because fuck my algorithms. But you know, because like, what's her face, Amy Coney Barrett? You know, like, well, she did not have that much experience at all. They just sort of rushed a young person in there who, you know, would most likely be chill about passing all of these like anti-abortion laws. Where am I even going with this? But like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that in my lifetime if like women were no longer like, because they're already starting to take away women's rights. This is what's currently happening, because these are laws that don't affect men at all, even though it is partly because of men that this is happening. Not necessarily because of who wrote the laws, but like, if, you know, the only way for a woman to get pregnant, I hope I'm not spoiling anybody, is that, you know,
spoilers. Whoa.
Like, spoiler alert.
All of us read the biology papers and books.
The biology papers, damn, okay.
All of us went to Nature and NIH and looked at the peer reviews.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Look at the peer reviews on this, but like, rumor has it that if a man has unprotected sex with a woman, there's a possibility that she could get pregnant. But you know, don't let anybody know that you know, that could still be malarkey.
I need a clip of that exchange, actually. I'll do it myself if I have to, but keep going.
Yeah, so, but then like what the woman does afterwards, or sometimes not even what she does, sometimes it's like her body just has a miscarriage. Like this happened like literally this month, probably, like, where a woman in Texas was about to be sentenced or something because she had a miscarriage. And yeah. Yeah, this is fucking terrifying. This is fucking, and like, and I think she had to get like, something happened where it's like a lawyer or like you know, like, I don't know, something got involved being like, no, she's not supposed to go to jail for having a miscarriage, when that shit, I mean, I shouldn't be like, I don't want to, like, a miscarriage is a very heartbreaking situation, especially if you were trying to get pregnant. It's very sad, it's very devastating, it's very emotional, because, you know, there was the possibility of having a child, and then, you know, that possibility goes away, not forever, just in that instance. You know, like, miscarriages are very, very common. You know, like, I don't really know many women who honestly never had a miscarriage, to be honest, who were, like, you know, women who have children who try to get pregnant. I don't really know many who just never had a miscarriage, to be quite honest. It's like, it's very common, but yeah, it's a very incredibly sensitive topic. But to have, you know, the government come in and try to dictate what happens, put more in the consumer market and have more debt. Too many companies rely. That's never me. I was thinking that too, Rocky. However, I wouldn't be surprised if some sort of legislation gets introduced. Some state's going to probably do that. Like, if shit keeps going down the way that it is, some shit's going to happen. Like, it probably won't pass. Like, I do agree with you. Like, most likely it won't ever happen. I do agree. I won't be surprised if some sort of legislation gets introduced, like some bullshit, like in Arkansas or something. And,
right.
And then it gets thrown out because it's like, oh no, this is like really dumb. Like completely like making abortion illegal isn't dumb, but women should have credit cards though. So whatever fucking sense they want to make it. But no, I agree with you, Rocky. I don't really think it's ever gonna happen. I wouldn't be surprised if like something gets introduced.
Right.
Because that's just how cynical, I guess. I never really like considering myself a cynic. Salud.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like it's just part of being kind of like a realist. It's part of, it's the dark side of comedy. Like comedians like know what, like usually comedians are very intelligent people. Like I'm not out here trying to be like a sly way of saying I'm smart, but like it's like not to toot my own horn or anything. But like comedians tend to be intelligent, and it's because like in order to talk about certain things, they have to convey it in such a way that you can understand and laugh about it, which is a very it's not an easy task to do. It's oftentimes many of the reason why I would take like really long breaks from doing comedy, because that's sort of like my style of just like showing things how it is. I agree. Twitch streamers tend to be intelligent too.
And that's why I'm back at you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Misha's one of the smartest people I know.
That's
why they're a Twitch streamer.
Yes.
See how it makes sense? Okay. But it's it's hard to like take these things and like construct it in such a way and then like and then convey it in a way that's amusing. Like it's very difficult. Like it's possibly why comedians tend to kill themselves, because it can be an incredibly dark and depressing place, because you really have to not give a fuck about anything to go up on stage and make jokes. That's like a dark reality.
Yeah.
That's Robin Williams. That was the first person I just thought of when you said that.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's really true. Like it's that's why a lot of them tend to like do drugs. Like maybe not like the very very big comedians, but if you listen to like small comedians, like may have like 10-minute sets, 15-minute sets on YouTube. Like maybe Comedy Central like has something where it's like some sort of show. Like a lot of them are just like taking drugs, or fuck ton of them are in therapy for depression, like all of them. Like it's great. It's amazing. It's very mentally taxing. And it's because of like shit like this, like what you see. And it's like, okay, how can I like make this funny? It's like, it's like, oh, how can I make my rights being taken away from me funny?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Wow.
I didn't know that either. That's new. I did not know that.
It's really cool. Yeah.
I wonder what part of Michigan he came from. Because that's awesome.
That is awesome. Go y'all.
Right. We got like a few. good things going for us, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, well, sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I wanted to keep
No. Yeah, no. Go on.
there was related to Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah.
The craziness is he just passed away today. It was I didn't really see like some like him being dragged because people will have whatever unearthed about them, and part of the topic today too was like the response. So not only do people cross the line, but there's usually some crazy kind of backlash response. So I was actually looking at Gilbert's just Wikipedia because I didn't know much about him personally. Apparently, he had made some pretty controversial jokes. There was 9/11 jokes like a few weeks after 9/11 happened. And I was like, okay, that's like really, that's really gutsy because there was a point even like in 2011 where I felt like 9/11 jokes were still like, it's 10 years, it's still a little like soon. Now it's like 20 years. It's like, okay. But I just remember seeing that, and I didn't see him necessarily being dragged for it, but like, I kind of thought about how people often will do the digging and like doing everything they can to like go even further than the joke that they made, and like they said something, and now people are gonna like go ahead and say like, yeah, you should kill yourself or some crazy thing. Like I remember I actually was just looking at Twitter and his last Gilbert Gottfried's one of his last tweets, he had a picture with Chris Rock and said, I'm not sure what's worse, Chris Ross telling the joke or him getting assaulted at the Oscars. And it's like, okay, haha, a little, humor there. That was the last thing he had tweeted. And someone commented saying like, I don't know, someone commented after he had died saying something like, this is like this was like a really bad joke to end on. He's like, this was really bad to end on, like, something. And like it's just like, dang, so people will like take the pot shots, and that wasn't even like an offensive joke. It was just like, okay, haha, Chris Rock, roasting a bit of Chris Rock and making light of the whole slap situation. But like that's a light example, but people have gone much further. So I thought that was very timely. That like, I mean, it's very sad that he passed away. He was only like 67.
Yeah.
And he still looked pretty young. Like I was looking at him, he didn't, he still looked like he could have been in good health or shape. And there's so many examples of like that phenomenon of people like having the mob come for you. I think Milkshake Duck, I love it. Actually was a thing in 2017, but I didn't know about it till like maybe 2 years ago when like someone gets famous, regular people, like famous people. I mean, they're already famous; they get in and out of controversy, but regular people become famous overnight, and then after you realize, oh, this person's not a superhuman like we thought they were, now we're gonna like tear them down from earth. So like you had Ken Bone with the red sweater, and everyone was making whatever memes about him, and then it's like, oh, he seems to be creepy on Reddit. I mean, I wouldn't say he was like a comedian, but there's like people who usually had some joke, tasteless joke or humor unearthed. I think one of my favorite examples is Carson Kane from Iowa. I'm gonna post the article because it's just such a funny, like it's so sad but so funny that he was this guy who was raising like millions of dollars for Iowa Children's Hospital after putting like a beer like Venmo, like I need like to refill my beer stock. And he had his Venmo at like a game, and then like people actually sent him money, and he became famous, and people loved him. He was gonna donate the money, and then people realized he tweeted racist things at 16 years old. I think he was like 23 or 4 at the time. So, I mean, it was like 7 years ago that he had tweeted that. And so, like, Budweiser, or was Anheuser-Busch or whatever, they were the ones that they had to deal with. And they just were like, nope, we're taking this deal away. They were still going to donate the money that they were going to match whatever Carson donated or raised, but they were not going to give him it. They were supposed to give him a year's worth of free beer. Which is pretty freaking cool until they realized he tweeted racist things. Now, the editor of the article, who actually, I guess it was like, I think it was like Des Moines Register, a really, really big newspaper in Iowa. And so I guess the editor or like whoever the author of that article was, people started saying like, why did they even go this deep into this man's life? And then he started getting looked into it himself, and he had some questionable tweets that were like some racist. I think was homophobic.
Stop Plickens.
And so he had like tweeted some things. He because Carson Keen had like this whole apology. He was like, this isn't who I am, whatever. You could say it was probably sincere. With with Karen Alvin, what's his name? Karen, I can't do words. Calvin. I think that was it. It was like Calvin Aaron, or Aaron Calvin. He like ended up having he didn't really apologize for. I think he was just like, yeah, I tweeted these things and they probably weren't good, but there was context to the jokes. Like one of them was like when gay marriage became legalized, he was like, in celebration, I'm gonna go marry my dog or something like that. So like he tweeted something that he thought was humor. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, I've heard this before, haha. But it's like,
yeah. I mean, that was not the time though.
Yeah. The thing I will say is I do feel bad because he was kind of instructed, from what I understand, to go look into Carson Keen's life. So I don't think that because literally Aaron Calvin started getting like death threats and stuff, and it's like, all right, this is a lot now. So it's like so many levels of like crazy backlash and people losing their status. I don't know if he got fired from the Des Moines Register, which would have been very crazy. That like Carson Keen lost his Bush deal, and Aaron Calvin loses his job at the newspaper for getting him. It's just too poetic, but also very unfortunate of society and how things are. Or like the whole "it's above me now" guy. Like, great response to a racist. You shouldn't have called me an effing N-word. And then that white woman, like he just very professionally handled it. But turns out he's a black gay man, so you think like he's a double minority, but he said a lot of transphobic things. So then people were dragging him. He didn't even defend himself. He actually doubled down and tripled down, and then eventually he apologized. So he lost his status, and it's just like no one is safe out here. You think that you're gonna like live off of like an internet hype, and then you're gonna get dragged back down to earth as quickly as you skyrocketed up. I'm gonna find that article though about the the Carson Keen incident because it was just so fascinating to read. I guess I was mostly kind of just saying that because that was a thought that I had even coming in, was like even for not people who are like famous comedians, but people who have like had goodwill, but then they kind of get put down. And that ends up kind of being part of that. Like, where's the line for like not just what they say that's unacceptable, but for in the response? Like, there seems to be no like limit to the backlash that they can get. Tia Chad, love the Compachi reference, by the way. I think he's a Peppa Pig was the past Compachi. As someone who read through Bleach all the way, love it. Does R. Kelly count as what, being canceled? Or
yeah.
That's like a good cancel. Like that's R. Kelly and like people like Harvey Weinstein. There's people where it's like, yeah, no, they definitely needed to be canceled, like in every sense. Jail, losing like whatever. Because I think it's more of like the kind of problematicness where it's like there's no forgiveness. I remember Yang talked about it too, where it's like that whole joke happened with like the guy who's supposed to be on SNL, Shane or whatever, and then turns out racist things. I never actually saw all the jokes really, but I saw like just the text of like some of the quotes or whatever, and like, yeah, it was bad. And it's not like I'm going to defend that in particular, but it's like I think that society will like, I think there was like an Australian term, I forgot, I just saw it, where it was like you like something about poppy seeds or poppy trees, like you're like cut down like things that are tall on instinct because they have like more status or whatever than you. Now, of course, if someone does something wrong, you can criticize it, but people are more eager to tear it down, I guess, back down to your level. Now with R. Kelly, on the other hand, that was like actual like criminal and like predatory things. So it's like I consider that to be in a different class than just some of these people who like are getting like, I don't want to say their lives are ruined, because Carson Keen is still like a human being who's not like, it's not like everyone started hating him immediately. He just lost the free 1-year beer deal. But there's people who like really are like put in the spotlight and they're just like dragged, and it can be very much of a shock. But someone like R. Kelly, no, they had that coming, and they were famous. They already had everything, and they chose to be disgusting and a creep on top of like
pedophile.
Yeah, exactly, the pedophilia. So
It's
yeah.
true. Sorry, Toby.
No, you're good. I was really just wrapping up on that. I don't know, like, if anyone had thoughts specifically, but I just figured I'd at least share that because I thought it was an interesting thing that
Yeah.
is just in society here.
Right. Oh, for sure. And yeah, no, like it's like Rocky, it is shitty that the media did protect him for decades after. Like it is, like it's
Mm-hmm.
you know, like it's tragic. Like because like even like I think about like what was it like Best of Both Worlds with him and Jay-Z? That's like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like it's and they made two of them, I think actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like it is like very crazy how like we knew about this, like it was known, like yeah, it was like rumors, but like I don't know if it just like society just doesn't care about black women. We want to do a sad form of a callback. um, if I don't know if that was just also like the temperature of the music biz back then, because like the music business, well, like I feel like every media business, honestly, but I just know that the music business was like specifically was always kind of creepy when it came to like young underage women. Like the Beatles have that song, and she was only 17, if you know what I mean. Which, when you think about it now,
That's kind of wild.
That's
I
wrong.
personally don't know as much about the Beatles and their songs as I should, but that's a flag.
right? Yeah, but back then, you're just like jamming, and it's like, yeah, I know what that means, but it's like you should know more what that means, Mr. Beatles. Like, sure, society was different back then too. Like, holistic Hadi, elaborate more on that. Do you mean as though like there wasn't like social media really? If men were just dating really young women, like Jay-Z got with Beyonce when she was 19, and I think they have like an 11, 12-year age difference, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so she was 19. So I always found it to be a little ironic that Jay-Z cheated on her when I felt like she should have cheated on him. It's like, yeah, like you needed to see more guys. Lady. That's like, yeah, I believe she was 19, if I'm not mistaken. Either that or like 21, 22, very young. But like, but like, I don't know, like the music industry was kind of, society was different back then. Like, definitely, like the media was a lot more forgiving. And I don't know if it was just one of those things where like, not like it should have been, it just like was like I think they just knew how to like put things under the rug, and it was a lot easier because there wasn't any social media.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So like a lot of us like get our news articles and stuff from social media. Like I'm not subscribed to the New York Times, so it's not like the New York Times just like gives me like the newspaper, which they still do. The New York Times, like you can get a newspaper of the New York Times. Anyway, like I don't get like any sort of subscription to like news and things like that. It's only just like from what I see on the social media, which is bad. It's terrible, it's horrendous. And I mentioned this on the stream, like, oh, I'm going to do better than I just never do. And that's 100% my fault. I'm not even going to deny that. Yeah. I saw a funny TikTok about this, about how like a millennial explaining to Gen Z, and like she's being kind of like vague about what it was. But she like the Gen Z was like, what? There was just like this really old man who lived in a mansion and like he just had a ton of girlfriends and they're like, yeah, you know, the girlfriends were just young and like they all like pretty much worked for him, you know. You know, they
Mhm.
were naked in this magazine, they'd all have sex with him, you know, they were all just with him and like this was fine. It's like, yeah, you know, like it was great, you know, like it was like everybody knew about it. It was on the Fresh Prince, you know, like it was on multiple shows. Everybody knew of Hugh Hefner. And like like when you think about it, it's just crazy. Like Hugh Hefner died like literally like right before the Me Too movement. Like
Mm.
it was like right before. Like I was like, oh boy. And I remember I actually made a joke about that, like on Facebook. I said like Hugh Hefner died at the right time.
That's good timing.
Yeah, no, he died at the right time.
But it's funny because even back then, you know, I quickly remembered about Aaliyah and R. Kelly, and mind you, Aaliyah was still basically in high school when R. Kelly was trying to marry her, and it was like, dude, she's not even like even out of high school yet, and you're already trying to marry her. Thankfully, you know, it didn't fall through. Hopefully, it didn't fall through. Knock on wood, because that would be like very weird.
Hmm. I recently heard a song, like it just came up on my Spotify called like I can't remember who sings it, but it was like it's called like the Freak Tales. Or like let me see if I can find it real quick. It's gonna be Freak Tales song. Who sings it? Freaky Tales.
Oh,
Like I don't know what year the song came out. It's clearly old. It's like it'd be like these are the tales, the freaky tales. These are the tales that I tell so well. And he keeps telling about, I guess, times that he's hooked up with like these girls. I met this girl. Her name was Joan. She loved the way I rocked on the microphone. And like he goes into like like but like one song is like about like some girl who was like 16 or something. Let me see.
gee.
Yeah.
Whoa, I need to look that up.
Yeah, it's called The Freaky Tales or just Freaky Tales.
I probably heard of this one.
Oh, so they did get married.
Yeah, they did get married.
Mm.
Leah's mature for her age. And she proceeded to sing Age Ain't Nothing But a Number.
So I kind of laughed at that because it's just like she really said that and just started singing. Like, wait, what?
You got a point. You got a point.
Aaliyah's is mature for age. Oh.
Oh, Lolita, is that like?
It's like I think it's like French or something, but it's kind of like for like I think it's like little girl, like a young girl, and like they
Yeah, because I've heard of like Lolicon or whatever the Japan like the anime.
yeah.
That's actually the one. Yeah, that's oof. Very questionable. Very questionable things.
That's a callback, Rocky. That's a callback. You did mention that like where was your comment? They would post things on for yeah. We live in a time where people will snitch on themselves to the world when they commit crimes to get clout, but then be shocked when the boys in blue come knocking. No shame or common sense.
I'm trying to remember if this was something that was mentioned last week or I saw it elsewhere. It was like people who snitch on themselves with the lyrics, but then like people snitch on themselves with the lyrics, and then I'm trying to remember what I feel like I saw this like it was some like comedy. I don't know if it was stand up or if it was like an ad, but it was like people snitch on themselves with their lyrics, but then I remember there was I guess someone who got away with it. Right? There's actually someone who like probably ended up killing someone or got away with it, and it's like they probably wish that they changed the title of the song to I killed. Oh yeah. I think it was on. Wait, don't tell me. It was some like NPR thing, some NPR like comedy thing. So I guess someone had said like How to Kill Your Wife or How to Kill Your Husband or something.
Mm-hmm.
Someone wrote a book. Oh yeah, they were saying that the police, like basically, she ended up being innocent because the court ruled that her some essays that she wrote could not be admitted as evidence. And I think the question was like, what was the name of this thing? And it was like literally How to Kill Your Husband or Killing My Husband. And then she was like, now she's angry that she didn't call it How to Kill My Husband and Get Away with Murder or something. Actually, more of those like kind of comedy shows because I need to prep myself. But no, it's just like kind of crazy. Like people do say things, I guess, in songs and essays and books. I'm just like, really? Or even like when I watch Criminal Minds, which has become an obsession of mine since like last year. It's like some people are really slick with it, but some people are just asking to be caught because they like do the most with their rituals.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just doing the absolute most to like, I don't know, like there's just a lot of different things. And I'm like, really? This is what you're doing. Like you're doing so much extra things that are not even necessary to the actual murder that of course you're going to be found eventually.
Yeah.
Who else is out here, recreating the 7 deadly sins or like doing whatever crazy thing and the trail is going to lead right back to you. Like we can't even kill people and like be discreet about it. What kind of times do we live in?
Oh wow.
That's a joke, by the way. He's like, "Oh wow." He's like, "Oh wow." I was like, "Wait a second. Let's let the stream be shared."
No, it was actually the comment that Holistic Heidi posted.
Oh, I see.
Oh wow.
Oh snap.
Alicia Silverstone's. Yeah. Oh, that's true. She was. I remember she actually got her belly button pierced, like on like when she actually did that music video. One of the music videos. Maybe. But yeah, she'd play a teenager Lolita type. Wow. That's, like it's like when you think it's just like disgusting and like right in front of your face, but like Lolita is a genre like that's still pretty big in anime, like unfortunately. Like, I think it's like gross. I mean, a lot of anime is like people in like high school. But, it's like these people like these over sexualized, unrealistic body parts all the time.
Oh, get him out of there!
Dang.
I don't know how to remove comments.
You just have to remove the space. I don't know.
No. Switch. That's the switch. So,
just being facetious.
Ish, if you're available, if you're still watching, that we need sleep, get him out of there.
We need sleep, ZZ. Listen, it's not a false username, but oh no. Yeah. I've seen some questionable things, y'all, when it comes to like spam texts. I should post more things on my Instagram because sometimes I'm like, the world needs to see actually some of the things that have been going down because I've seen some very strange things come to my phone. Like email spam is one, but people are really texting wild things like in spam messages. And
yeah.
I'm just like, y'all have no shame. Y'all have no lines.
Yeah, I've been getting those a lot. Like, seriously, like, I cannot block your phone number so you can stop spamming me. And then what makes it is a lot of times it's like a big group text. And so now, like, I really can't block the phone number because I don't know which phone number did it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Ron. They keep changing them. So, like, even when it's like you get a different text every time anyway. Like, I don't even bother blocking them because I already just know that they're just going to find a new text anyway. But I had to face palm at that because I'm just like, what? I actually think I saw something of like that. Like, if not that, something else that was similar where like someone went either live on Facebook or something happened where like they were literally caught because they like ended up showing off. Maybe someone maybe robbed something and then they had an Instagram. I don't even know. Like, people are dumb.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's so weird. That's so weird that they like would make a TikTok about it and post it. It's like, are they trying? I guess it's just like for clout.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should like be honest with ourselves, and I'm probably could just be like speaking for myself, but I don't mind doing that. Like like whenever, not like literally every single tweet that I make, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be the thing that goes viral. But like there are some tweets where I'm like, okay, this should go. I hope this goes pretty well, and like
Mhm.
oftentimes it doesn't. Like I've only had the one tweet that went viral. But I remember even listening to Neil Brennan, who's like a good friend of Dave Chappelle. Like he was like one of the writers and co-creators of like this of the Chappelle Show, and he was talking about something on Instagram, and then like he mentioned like, oh, he was like, yeah, sometimes I post things and I'm like hoping that this would like go big, or like some certain person would like see it or something. I was like, yeah, okay, like we're all human, like sometimes I make tweets hoping a certain person will see it. Sometimes, like the rare times I post pictures of myself on Instagram or somewhere, like I mean, I don't really have like a crush on anyone anymore, so I'm not really like super hoping, but there's like, sometimes you're kind of hoping for like some sort of attention. So that's the whole point. So like, we can't deny that, these people who are, posting these things are also just like looking for attention, some sort of validation, some sort of
Mhm.
something, like they want what I like to call the fake internet points. And,
Right.
these points are made up, they don't matter. Just like in Whose Line Is It Anyway? So,
Are
like,
no points.
yeah.
Except for the only points are puns, and puns are always welcomed.
Yes. Yes, this is a pun-friendly show.
Yes.
I don't blame you, Rocky, though.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because I do get a lot of. So picking up my phone, that one I have to like learn. Like if it's like a 301 number, that's one of the Maryland area codes. I'm like, there's no reason I'm getting a random 301 number call. So that's most likely spam. If it's a 978 or 978 is North Shore, Mass. So like where I live, and then Boston's like 617 maybe. If I see something more in that area, then I'm like, okay, this could actually be something important from like a local, Lord knows what, like utility, internet. Like I don't know, it could be anything. So unfortunately, the scammers have gotten smarter, and now they're not just spoofing my actual phone number; they're spoofing, or not just my area code, but they're figuring out where I like live geographically and spoofing that. But oftentimes they are real numbers. So I'm like, I should probably pick it up just in case it's something real. And then I get like the Lowell Sun. Sometimes it'll just be a drop call. I answer it, it's nothing. But then other times it's been the Lowell Sun asking me if I want to resubscribe, and I don't. And it's the same number. So I'm like, why are you drop calling sometimes? And other times you're actually trying to get me to resubscribe to the Lowell Sun, which I literally only subscribed to at one point so I could follow the 2020 election back in that whole craze when we needed to know about like campaign news and polls. And so I'm like, no, get away from me. And I'm trying to remember what else, but anyway, I feel you, Rocky. Like like the texts are weird, and they also tell you that you probably shouldn't respond to some of these things because when you do, they know it's a real number. Like you don't
Yeah.
emails, don't click those like opt out unless it's like an obvious thing that like there was a real website you went to and you just happened to sign up for marketing. If it's more of like true spam that you didn't even come close to signing up for, you shouldn't click. And I didn't know that. So when I was younger, I would just like go through a bunch of the spam and just click opt out, unsubscribe, opt out, unsubscribe. And I probably just made things worse.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
we need to technically have the freedom to do that.
you said you technically have the freedom to do that.
Like you should technically have the freedom to just unsubscribe to as many.
No,
Exactly.
seriously.
They might think you're like some kind of bot or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, y'all, it's come to the end of our show.
Yes, indeed.
There's never an easy way to end a show.
It's not y'all. It's not us either, really. It's the time.
Like if the time stopped, but we could continue, then we would continue.
Hyperbolic time chamber.
Right. And like if we just like were incapable of being tired, then yeah, like absolutely.
What would you do if you just didn't have to get tired or time could stop? Oh, of course, I'd just be streaming. What else?
No, yeah, they streaming. You can like just become like Twitch affiliate in one day.
Yo, imagine.
Man, that'd be awesome.
That would be freaking amazing. I'm excited for that. And we're about to hit our 2-year mark next month.
Yeah.
Well, at least for the stream overall. I don't remember when we started streaming on Twitch. It was probably like later in the summer, but we're still coming up on it.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Christian Bale Batman.
Do I look like a cop? You know, I never actually watched the original of the Batman, really. So I saw it some years ago, like well after The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, both of which I've only seen halfway through. That's a problem of mine perpetually. The Batman, I also only saw like partway through, but
I've never actually seen any of The Dark Knight. Somewhere right there with you.
Or Batman Begins. Oh, snap.
Yeah, it's on my list to one day eventually watch. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those movies where I'm like, I'm not gonna just watch it on my own. It's like I have to watch it like a friend or a partner or something, like a boyfriend. I'm not gonna just turn on the movie myself.
The movie council.
Hey.
Let's do. That would actually be fun though to one day have like a movie thing. I don't know. Discord lets you do group streaming of like, I don't know. That would be cool. Yeah. Actually, one day, whatever. It doesn't have to be The Dark Knight, but you just good. That was a really smart idea. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's true. I gotta like catch up on like a million movies.
You know? I was gonna say you can stream it on. You can do it on. You can do it in Discord.
Oh, true.
You can do it on Discord. You can do it on Discord. And the crazy thing about it is, like, I have, like, all 3 of the Dark Knight series. I have all 3. And I've watched all 3 of them. It's, like, amazing. Even like still to this day, like, if I really don't want to do anything, I just want to veg out, yeah, I'll pop what is it? What is it? It's not the Dark Knight. It's the one that came before it.
Batman.
Batman is it what? Batman Begins?
Is it?
Wait. Why are you guessing? I'm gonna go get it right now. Hold on.
What were you asking specifically about that?
No, because you were talking about how you've only seen the movies like partly, and I was like, you've seen more than I have.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, but everybody raves about these movies. Like, I would watch it. Like, I really would. I just like. I'm just gonna never like just sit down and watch the movie like myself. I'm never gonna be like, oh, The Dark Knight is on HBO Max. Let me watch it. Like, I literally watched the first, what's it called? Matrix. The Matrix. I literally watched like the very first one. Like, it was like December 30th or something. Like,
okay.
Seen most of like the Matrix, and I feel like lots of sequences of the next 2 ones, but I never saw them like end to end in myself. So I would like to go back and watch the Matrix. There's a whole lot where I would like to watch myself, and not just because like my siblings or in school it got put on.
Okay, so what's the first one, Ron?
It is Batman Begins.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, that definitely sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yep, I got this one, and then I got The Dark Knight,
Okay.
I have
and
that.
then I got The Dark Knight Rising. And
Oh,
what I want to get, and what I want to do is I want to get the Joker, because if nobody has seen the Joker, the one with Joaquin Phoenix, I think that's how you pronounce his first name.
okay, yeah, Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, that was the newest one. Yeah, with Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody paid attention towards like the tail end of the movie, it actually kind of coincides with this one.
The Dark Knight.
It actually coincides with the Dark Knight. And so I was like, ooh, I gotta get it, because a lot of the events that happened in the Dark Knight, that actually makes sense now. It really makes sense. Really did.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so I was like, ooh, yeah. So like, yep, I got it. Like whenever I get it, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy the Joker. Then that'll complete at least the saga for these three, for the Batman one. And yeah, call it quits.
You
That's
don't need
what
to
I heard too. Like,
I didn't know if the other ones were rated that badly, because I actually have pretty good or okay memories of some of the other ones. Like the first one, of course, is classic, but I thought the other ones were also like very much like you need to watch it, but maybe not. That's good to know, because I didn't really know how they were perceived. You know.
The first one, I would agree with I would agree with Barack on this one. The first one was very good, and then the other two was in my opinion, it was very cheesy, and it was like, yeah, you're trying to bring the same spark, the same magic, the same ingenuity that was put into the first one, but it missed the mark on the second one, and then it definitely missed the mark on the third one. But even then, in the third one, you kind of knew that there was a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily answered, and left a bunch of questions, which led to the most recent Matrix movie that came out. So it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot within those first three. It was kind of like, okay, I get it. But at the same time, it was like, I really wouldn't watch it in the movie theaters just because.
Yeah,
I hear you.
that's valid.
Yeah. I mean, case in point, like with any other Mortal Kombat movie, it's like, yes, the first one is always, in my opinion, the first one's always going to be an instant classic. And as much as it was cheesy and the CGI was kind of terrible, but you kind of get what they were trying to do. It was like, okay, we get it. But even then, like as a kid, I'm like, yes, I love it. And then when I went to go see Mortal Kombat Mortal Kombat Armageddon, that one was like, okay, it's not as bad as the first one, but it's still relatively bad overall. Relatively bad overall. It's like, no.
Yeah. I never saw any of those, like Mortal Kombat, Dragon Ball Z. There's a bunch of movies. Actually, Mortal Kombat, I don't think it was great, but I don't think it was panned the way like the Dragon Ball Z movie was. Maybe it was. I don't remember.
Are you talking about the live action Dragon Ball Z movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that even existed. It was just like he's talking about Mortal Kombat movies, and he goes into like the anime Dragon Ball Z movies. Like this was kind of random. I was like, oh,
Kombat was also live action, right?
It was kind of like
2 years ago.
Satellite.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna see Mortal Kombat, but it just was too many of things happening back to back. It was also during the pandemic. I mean, I didn't mind going to see it during the pandemic. It was like fall of 2021, fall of 2020, actually. Boston was one of the few places that had certain movies streaming in the country. Like Tenet, was one of the few theaters, and it was Boston. And you had like Mortal Kombat. That one may have been in other theaters, but I just remember hearing of it, and I was like, I would go for the culture, but I never really played Mortal Kombat, so it's not like I was even a big gamer when it came to like things like Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Soul Calibur too. Though I played the mess out of that. Actually, if you remember, when there was that game night, and of course, like I was infamous for asking for the Naruto game for this like it was like this after work kind of video game night. And so many like anything like Dragon Ball Z crossover, Mortal Kombat versus what like there's just so many of these crossovers. And it was cool, like DC versus Mortal Kombat, but I never was too deep in those universes. Like I never played Injustice. I never really played most of those games. But Soul Calibur 2, I played a lot as a kid. And I think there was like a Soul Calibur 4 or 5 that was at this game night at our company. And I remember I was like, dang, I haven't seen Soul Calibur 2 since I was like probably like teen years, pre-teen years. And then all of a sudden, 10 years later, like, boom, a little over 10 years. Like, yeah, it was just like Soul Calibur 5 or 4. And I was like, anyway, don't get me on a tangent about some of these games. So, I'm here though for the people who like wanted to like see their sort of like video game fantasies live to real life and seeing like how it was on the screen. So I'm happy. Hopefully it wasn't like destroyed. Hopefully it didn't destroy their fantasy, but it's cool that people were able to see that on the screen for those who are deep into the games.
Right. Now I will say this, and then we can go. I will say this: this latest Mortal Kombat movie, it is a bit gory than all the other ones. It is really gory than all the other ones, which is like, okay, I get it. But even still, it was just like, it's not as good as the first one, but at the same time, it was definitely better than the second one. If I had to rate the Mortal Kombat movies, it's not as good as the first one, but definitely better than the second one. Definitely better. Definitely better.
All right.
Oh, Mish.
Yeah, that was the one I played, Soul Calibur 2 for GameCube. I forgot Link was even in that game.
Yeah, me too. Like I remember that they like each system had like their own special character, and so like for PS2, was it like the dude from God of War?
Oh, was it
Kratos?
Yeah, was it?
I can see it.
It might have been.
I didn't know Kratos back then, but I could see it.
Yeah, I could see it too. I don't know if it was. I can't remember who was in Xbox. So, but yeah, that was like thinking back on it. That was actually like a really cool concept that Soul Calibur did. Like, was that Bandai Namco?
Boy, you're bringing back the
in Soul Calibur 2 for the Xbox?
Who? Spawn. I believe so. Yeah, because I remember it was like someone I wasn't really familiar with, but I know what he looks like. I think it was. Yeah. Okay. That was...
Go ahead. Oh
no. Go on.
Because I almost want to say that Kratos had to be in Soul Calibur 2 for the PlayStation.
Yeah, I think so.
Looking it up real quick, it says someone called Heihachi Mishima.
Oh, that's right.
Martial artist from Tekken. I never played Tekken, so I don't know the characters that well. I know it was a panda, but
oh,
Heihachi.
Okay.
Heihachi. Yes, Heihachi Mishima. Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, because I was trying to think. I was like, I don't think it was Kratos, but I felt like it would have been. I felt like he would have been like he would have been good. Like that would have been a cool character, but I don't know. Maybe God of War didn't come out yet when Soul Calibur 2 came out. Anyway,
you're right. Spawn does apparently appear in the Xbox and HD online versions.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that is pretty cool. Yeah.
But I think everyone was jealous of Link being because they're like, damn for the GameCube, because like PS2 was like blowing up. But yeah, y'all. Sorry to try to close this stream again. Like I can't speak for these two guys, but like I am dog tired.
I should be really tired, to be honest.
Yeah, no,
but I had a long day. Meetings back to back at like 9 a.m. Hour-long meetings. I was like, why are we doing this?
Like 9 a.m. meetings are
9 to 10, then a 10 to 11, and 11 to 11:30. And I was like, can I at least get my life together when I first wake up? But for whatever reason, I do have energy, but I really shouldn't because I have like another morning meeting tomorrow. I think I have something for sure. I got work regardless, but
y'all, sorry for being like that black family who takes 2 hours to only say goodbye.
Start leaving.
Yeah,
this is my last thing. It was an Arab thing, like Palestinian, but it was a stand-up about start leaving, where it was like you can't just leave. It was like you have to start leaving. Right. And I didn't realize that this was like a big thing in the black family too, because I've seen those memes recently, and I was like, holy crap. The funniest part, not to spoil the whole stand-up, but it was like, yeah, there was a white guy like Dave at the party, and it's like, wait, where did Dave go? He's like, he left. And he's like, he left 10 minutes ago. It's like, wait, he left? You can do that?
You just leave.
And I was like, that's so funny. He just got up and left.
Like an Irish exit, I think.
Yeah, I think I actually did. Not NPR had a whole segment on that, and I was like, y'all are talking about the Irish exit. This is hilarious.
That is funny.
Weeks ago.
Yeah,
anyways,
I think that's a better way to live. If you just need to leave, you just leave. I mean, I'm not going to just like leave.
Just leave studio.
Leave.
Like leave studio. I'm not going to say anything.
Facts, Liz. Facts.
That's just kind of hilarious because even up here in the Northeast, I feel like people are. I'm not saying people aren't friendly, but if people need to go and leave a party, I think they're gone. I think they're gone. I'm out.
Alrighty, y'all. Bye for reals. We love you all. This is why it's so hard for us to leave.
Yeah. It's not you. It's not us. It's just time.
It is. It really is.
Being responsible.
Yeah, I know. Like if work wasn't tomorrow, then I'd just be on. But alrighty, y'all. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.